Tramell Jones, Florida State's QB1 of the 2025 recruiting class, at least as of right now, as they try to defend a massive push from the in-state rival Florida Gators. But here's why Noles fans shouldn't worry. Now let's take a step back. Jones committed to the Seminoles back in April, making him the longest tenured member of the 2025 recruiting class. Since then, he's continued to rise in the ranks. He's impressed at a lot of the camps he's participated in, and he's led his team at Management High School to a 4M state championship game. And I only expect him to continue to rise. Luckily, Florida State saw the trajectory early and was the first to offer him, a lot like the evals and connections we saw from the staff last cycle with Luke Cromenhawk. So another good eye from Mike Norvell and the staff, but this is why we're starting to hear of a lot of other schools pushing for him. Now, I'm not worried, and I don't think Florida State fans should be either. For one, it's just part of the process. Recruiting blue-chip quarterbacks will always have a side effect of competition, especially from your other in-state schools. So we can't be too shocked. But when you look at it, I do think Florida is the main competition we have for Tramell. So when you really start to compare programs and their current situations, Florida State has pretty much every advantage I could think of. We've already mentioned the relationship aspect here, with Florida State being the first school to pull the trigger on him, but also UF has had back-to-back losing seasons. And probably more than any other coach in the state, Billy Napier's job security is being thrown into question here. I think for him to even be able to finish out the 2024 season, they've got to stack some wins early, and they've got to try to squeeze out a winning record, which, looking at their schedule, I just don't see it. Secondly, the Gators just added a 5-star quarterback in their 2024 class with DJ Lagway. And when you bring in a kid like that, you've got to spend a ton of NIL and other resources on not only landing him, but keeping him. You can't just have a kid like that hit the portal a year later. You've got to always be recruiting your current roster even in today's world. I think Billy Napier's job hinges on that kid, quite honestly. And even if they do decide to fire Napier in or after the 2024 season, Lagway is still probably going to get the first nod at QB there. So I could definitely leave them unable or maybe just unwilling to pull out all the stops to flip Tramell. Now, if all this is the case, why does he still seem so interested in the Gators? You guys got to remember, these are impressionable 17-year-old kids. And from what I understand, he recently started playing with South Florida Express, which is a 7-on-7 team. So between everything that comes with that and the trajectory he has been on, the recruiting game has opened up a little bit more for him recently and opened his eyes to new things and new experiences. So he's definitely trying to go through the whole process and make sure he makes the correct decision. I think he's just having fun with it, and I mean, who can really blame him? An all-expense paid trip to go to these other cities and have all these things thrown at you. I know it's not a popular opinion from fans in the recruiting world, but I would take every single visit I could. All this to say, I don't think Tramell is wavering from Florida State. I think he's taking this whole thing as it comes. He's still saying all the right things for Florida State, still saying he's locked in, and he hasn't even actually went through and scheduled an official visit with Florida just yet, and doesn't even know if he will for sure. He's still recruiting for Florida State, and he's still taking his last official visit to Florida State for that massive June 21st weekend that they have coming up. Now, on the other side of this coin, I think Florida State definitely needs to keep playing defense and keep recruiting him. For multiple reasons. For one, this late in the cycle, it's going to be hard to pivot to another quarterback. And yes, we're all excited about the future of Brock Glenn and Luke Cromenhawk, but you still really should try to take at least one quarterback per class for depth purposes, if nothing else. Two, him being a Florida kid, him playing with South Florida Express, he has a lot of connections with a lot of other targets for Florida State. Jamie French, a 5-star receiver, is his teammate there at Management High School. And Vernell Brown, another top receiver that Florida State is heavily involved with, is a 7-on-7 teammate with South Florida Express. So having the QB connection there and using it to help you recruit a wide receiver is a great card to play. And outside of all of that, just the optics. I mean, I never, ever want to lose a recruit to Florida. But yeah, guys, I do think Jones is weighing some options right now, but I do think Florida State can and will weather this storm and keep him in the class. And once it all settles, I think we see him become even more of an active recruiter for the Noles and starts working to bring in some other top talent along with him. We appreciate you guys tuning in and hanging out, talking some Florida State recruiting. Starting to get a little bit dramatic as we head into the summer, but I want to hear your thoughts. Are any of you guys worried about Tramell's commitment? Do you think this is all smoke? Let me know down in the comments, and let's talk Noles. Catch you guys on the next one.